There's something special about a game that doesn't just look like a Super Nintendo classic, but actually feels like one. If you love games like Illusion of Gaia or Secret of Mana, I need you to lock in, because we just got the modern version of those beloved 16-bit RPGs in the name of Shrine's Legacy. Shrine's Legacy from Positive Concept Games dropped on October 7th, and somehow, this little indie managed to capture the perfect 16-bit warmth. The kind where colors are just slightly too bright, the pixel art feels hand-drawn, and the world just hums with a little magic. You play as Ryo or Rima, two heroes trying to reunite the magic jewels that restore the Sword of Shrine and save the world of Ardemia. I know, pretty standard stuff on paper, but what sets Shrine's Legacy apart is how it tells that story. It's not trying to reinvent RPGs, it's reminding us why we fell in love with them in the first place. Let's start with the obvious, this game is gorgeous. Not in the, man, what cool software effects kind of way, but in the every sprite was drawn with care kind of way. The towns are cozy, the forests shimmer with little animations, and every character portrait beside the dialogue looks alive. They blink, they cry, they smile when they're happy, and it all feels so natural. And they're painted beautifully, detailed enough to show emotion, but not so overdone that it loses that Super Nintendo charm. When your heroes show emotion, you see it. Their portrait mirrors that moment perfectly. It's a small thing, but it just adds so much humanity. And when you change weapons or armor, the sprite updates. The portrait updates. It's a small touch, but it's the kind of small detail that says that the devs really care. I gotta say right from the jump, this game balances exploration perfectly. There are plenty of side areas to wander through and townsfolk to talk to if you just want to mosey about. And trust me, I love to mosey. I like a game that lets me take my time, chat with some locals, do a mini game or two, and just hang around before heading to the next big story moment. But if you're not about that life, you can just skip that altogether and just stick to the main quest, and I always appreciate a game that gives you both. Now, Shrine's Legacy can be played co-op. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get the opportunity to play co-op and slow anybody else down, but I did get the chance to play single player, and honestly, the game handles that just fine. The AI partner has the skill level of an average player that just follows you around and helps you with some combat. The only real disadvantage is they don't use magic on their own, and you're going to be solving all those puzzles solo. But in straight combat, they're not a liability. Combat's action-based, not turn-based. You swing, you dash, you use magic, and it's quick and satisfying. You've got one button for sword attacks, one for magic, and you can use those bumpers to move between spells. And I love that. There are moments where you need fire magic to light torches, and you're low on health and you need a heal. And it's nice not having to pause the action to dig through menus every single time. And that's the way I like it. Keep it simple in that old school type way. The RPG systems are just as straightforward. You level up by fighting, you collect jewels that act like a mix of badges and material, tweaking stats and modifying abilities to fit your playstyle. You gather materials, brew potions, and move on. It respects your time but still scratches that, hey, before this big boss, I gotta make sure my loadout is perfect type of itch. And speaking of bosses, that's where this game really shines. Each boss feels distinct, each with its own look and pattern. Now, I was a little hesitant at first because they start off real simple, like this big red jelly boss, which I thought was going to set the tone for a very kid-like ride. But they get more and more detailed and creative from there. Every Shrine Guardian tests something a little bit different. Your timing, your magic, your movement. It's that classic learn the pattern, stay patient, earn the win. And I never felt like I had to grind to progress. I like to clear out enemies as I go. It's my version of picking up the trash on the way to my next area. You know, just doing my citizen duty. So maybe that's why I didn't need to level grind. But the game rewarded me for it, and I didn't need to backtrack. Each gemstone you find can be used as equipment, and you've got a limited number of slots to fill. Some jewels are small and only take up one slot, while others cost more but give bigger perks. It's a fun way to customize your loadout without bogging you down in those endless menu screens. Zul, the game's currency, is earned through exploring, fighting, and completing tasks for villagers. Most of these tasks are little mini-games, goat collecting, fishing, scarecrow battle practice, and your performance determines how much Zul you'll get, which then you can spend on items or gemstones in town. And then there's Matilda. I actually forgot her name, but she looks like a Matilda. This witchy upgrade vendor shows up in every stage and lets you brew potions or permanently upgrade your stats. Give her the right materials and she'll boost your strength, magic, or defense. Or mix you a temporary potion to get through that tough dungeon. You're also going to unlock new abilities as you go, a diagonal attack, a dash attack, and the timing of them feel perfect. So you don't start with everything, and that actually makes it feel like a surprise when you do get it. Although yeah, I can see some players feeling a little limited early on. Just hang tight though, you'll be doing more combos soon enough. Now here's the part that surprised me. The story and emotion. The overall plot is pretty standard, recovering gemstones to restore a legendary sword, saving those you love, defeating the big bad. But it's the characters and writing that elevate it. It reminds me of a famous sitcom like Friends, Cheers, or The Office. I know, hear me out. The premise of these shows is just friends hanging out either at a bar, an office, or a coffee shop. Nothing groundbreaking. But because of the characters and the writing, they are still some of the most watched shows ever. That's how Shrine's Legacy feels. It's a familiar story, but the characters are written so well, you forget the simplicity of it all and just get lost in the journey. The bond between the characters, their friendship, their worry for each other, it's real. Now, I know I was playing really late at night, but there was a moment when Rio was separated from Mala and he sends her a letter. Now again, it could have been because it was 3 a.m. and I was in that kind of mood, but I actually teared up. Their relationship and emotions were made so real. Now, we could say it's just words on a screen and a small sprite animation, but it hit me harder than most modern cutscenes. When they're apart, you feel it. When they reunite, there's that relief, that we made it kind of feeling that's rare in games that small. Even the villains are written so well. The main antagonist feels like a legitimate threat. Not just some abstract world domination type, but a personal one. He's tied directly to Rio's legacy. The fight is personal, and it feels that way. And here's what I love. I love that Rio isn't some perfect, flawless hero. He questions himself, he makes mistakes, and he keeps going not because he's fearless, but because giving up would just make everything worse. It's grounded, and it's real. You'll meet all kind of side characters too, from chill townsfolk you can just shoot the breeze with and talk about the weather, to wild personalities like these macho-obsessed luchador monster hunters. Yeah, that's right, macho luchador monster hunters. More fun than a barrel full of monkeys, I'd say. You'll even meet a boat captain who takes you to this monster island, and he opens up about all his regrets in life. And these small human moments just really stuck with me. The time you spend with each character just feels right. It's not too short, not too long. And personally, look, I love a two-person party. I don't like when it's 8 people and it just feels too crowded and I can't keep up with everybody. But 2 feels right, it's manageable, and it's still intimate when you meet new characters along the way. Now the music. The soundtrack takes me straight back to the glory days of the 90s RPGs. Now, it's not going to top the all-time greats for sure, but it is really good. Each area has its own melody that sounds like it's been in your head since 1995. You just didn't know it yet. But what really kept me going, more than combat, more than stats, was the constant feeling of what's next. Every time I found a new shrine, I wanted to know where the next one was, and what gem would I discover next? What boss was going to be waiting for me? It gave me that same feeling I used to get when I watched Dragon Ball. Like, I remember every time that Goku and his gang finished an arc and found a Dragon Ball, I would instantly wonder, what's the next Dragon Ball journey gonna be like? What places will they go? Characters they'll meet? Foes they'll face? Laughs that we're all gonna share? And dangers he's gotta overcome? The possibilities are endless, and each hunt towards each Dragon Ball feels like its own show or story. I got the same feeling every time I had to find a gem to the Shrine Sword. What will the next hunt unfold? It's that wonder that keeps you glued to the screen to 3 a.m. like it did me. Shrine's Legacy might not have a AAA budget, but it's got something even better. Heart. Look, this is not about reinventing the SNES era RPG. It's about perfecting it and paying homage to it. So listen, if you grew up on games like Secret of Mana, Illusion of Gaia, or A Link to the Past, this is a must-play. It is comfort food for the retro soul, but with enough emotion and craftsmanship to stand proudly on its own. It's nostalgic, it's heartfelt, and it's proof that sometimes going back to the 16-bit era can still move you to tears in 2025. So yeah, Shrine's Legacy, a game that doesn't need big gimmicks because it already has something rare. It remembers what made us fall in love with RPGs in the first place. So, would a mediocre gamer like Shrine's Legacy? The answer is yes.